Hello, you're listening to Count Richard von Coudenhove kalergi. Today is Friday the 26th of October, and here are a couple of comments from my last video. The European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker is on a 2-day visit to Tunisia, where he announced that he was giving them tens of millions in aid, and that, to quote, Europe will have to open legal routes for illegal Africans to stop the drownings in the Mediterranean, to come to Europe, saying, "We need them, they are intelligent, hard-working." He also said that 800,000 asylum claims from Africa have been processed in various EU countries, and that Europe has invested 44 billion in Africa, and that we need Africans in Europe. Who the hell do these people think they are? Now you can see how the Marrakesh political declaration is starting to unfold. I wonder why RTE didn't bother to comment on this. I want to thank Pádraig Flanagan for putting me onto this one. It's a pity right from the start that the EU didn't take a leaf out of Australia's book, where under Operation Sovereign Borders they prevented over 3,500 asylum seekers in over 30 boats from landing in Australia's shores, and they're now passing new legislation for those that are found guilty of rape and murder can be deported. Staying within the EU, the President of the European Parliament, Antonio Tajani, said in his speech that the Nazis and Communists were devastating and costly political systems, and thank God that these two political systems were banished by the EU. This rewriting of history got Nigel Farage laughing, much to the annoyance of Tajani, who told him to be more respectful, to which Farage replied that his comments were an insult to the war dead, especially Americans and British, who Farage reminded the Italian cost the British 30,000 in Italy alone. It is my opinion that the EU is turning into a dictatorship, and from its origins with the pan-European movement in the 1920s and the Coudenhove kalergi plan, achieving politically and economically what the Nazis couldn't. Mr. Farage also called out the negotiating civil servants within the EU bureaucrats as collaborating with the EU and putting up brick walls in negotiations, and called them the enemy within. In domestic issues, we have our own enemies within, and it was interesting to see the media and the politicians turn on George Hook yet again, this time over a tweet he put out regarding the Chinese boy and his deportation. Mr. Hook said, quote, "With trolley numbers at world record levels, Minister Harris is worried about a Chinese boy." After much criticism, Mr. Hook responded, "The cynical use of an innocent by a Minister for Health worked. Not a single tweet or outrage about the thousands of Irish left without a bed." It was good to see Niall Boylan supporting Mr. Hook, and I sent Niall an email saying that he was possibly the only talk show that gave a platform to those of a more conservative or nationalist and anti-globalist point of view, and that he is playing a very important role, allowing people to voice their opposition to the ever-increasing progressive and lefty agendas. On the Claire Byrne show on Monday, the topic of the deportation came up, and what was striking was the absence of any politician. The fact that no member of the Vichy Fine Gael/Fianna Fáil government had the backbone or the courage to appear on the show and defend the Constitution, the vote of 79% or 1,427,520 votes, is a disgrace and an act of political cowardice, and that politically speaking we are a rudderless ship heading for disaster. Political correctness and virtue signalling are now more important than self-preservation. I'm reminded of a quote, "When you control a man's thoughts, you don't have to worry about his actions." I think that's quite applicable. Today is polling day for voting for a new president and for voting either to retain or remove from the law blasphemy from our constitution. Of the candidates running for presidency, only 2 put up political posters. It was nice to see life-size posters of Michael D. Higgins. He was supported by the Vichy Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil government, and Líada Ó Riada, who got support from Sinn Féin. She got the backing of Sinn Féin. I would like to see Peter Casey win, but if he doesn't, I would like to see him enter Irish politics, as there is room for his no-nonsense approach to things. I will also be voting to remove blasphemy, as I believe that with the changing demographics of Ireland and the doubling of the Islamic population every 10 years, no religion should be beyond criticism, although I'm sure the government will probably replace it with something more sinister. I hope that removing blasphemy is not a trap. I see Sinead O'Connor has converted to Islam and has a couple of videos up on YouTube about it. And I wonder, if she is due to appear on the Late Late Show, will she be searched for explosive? And would she be as willing to tear up a picture of Muhammad as she was to tear up a picture of the Pope? I'd say poor old Uncle Gabo isn't too happy with that one. Now, they're just a couple of thoughts and comments which are my own. I noticed I have a couple of new subscribers this week, so thanks for listening, and bye bye.